to their advantage because it's very fascinating. These models were imported as OBJs, so not all of the textures have been included, like the specular wasn't included in the normal, so I've been looking through that and adding in a bit of that. But it is absolutely fascinating to see how they use their polygon and texture budgets in this setup. So let's go over a few of the things I've discovered so far. So first of all, the polygon count on the road is higher than I anticipated by quite a bit. Like, look at that. And the patterning on it is also fairly interesting, because if we tries to quads this, just to take a look at it, we can see that sometimes they add in another loop cut here that goes along, which I did not expect. And it doesn't go all the way, which is interesting. So let's go and return it to the original model, and we can see that that happens. So let's look at the UV map. So here we can see that it uses just a standard texture right here, tileable, and then the UV map just goes along. But there are some parts that don't stay on that pathway, which I want to see where those are. Let's go do that, Shift H, and then home in on them. Ah, okay, so right at the... Is this? Yep, that's the finish line. Okay, so they use that for the borders as well. That is very interesting. And then for the texture maps, let's see. Oh, and these parts are just different meshes that are just laid on top. That is, yeah, that makes sense. Just for where the carts start off at. Also, another little side note that I've been looking through is that the camera needs to have a very wide field of view for it to see anything, because Blender's default is 50, and that's way too zoomed in. So I found that 15 millimeters seems to be about right to make it look like the in-game camera. But there's one more thing that is very fascinating with this, and it's the baked lighting, because that is a separate texture that I want to try adding to this, and I'm not sure how successful that will be. So if we go to Moo Moo Meadows, right over here, and we take a look at this, this is the map, which is, you know, fairly sparse from like the overview point of view, and I just hit my desk, ow. So let's go and take the flying camera view and look over to here. And that's how that looks. Let's lower it by a bit. Whoop. Sensitivity on it is a little bit high. There we go. We can see that that looks, yeah. The shading isn't correct, but that's because I want to go and try out the actual, like, baked texture maps that they have. So where are you? Let's bring you over here. I want to show you the texture map. So let's go over to here, go over to shading. Let me drag and drop that into there. So let's see, nope, that's Electrodrome. Let's go over to Moo Moo Meadows and bring in all of the, oh wait, I need to add in a material. 1 second while I go and get the file. So we have that baked, and that baked, that baked, and also quite a few interesting images. So let's go through all of these and see what we can find out about it. So here, that does not look too interesting right there. Let's go over to which one was that? Here we go. So here we can see that we have red, green. It looks like only red and green channels for the lighting for the entire track, but it seems to be in world space almost. And there's only one UV map on each part of the mesh. So I'm assuming either this is auto-generated on the fly, or it's just like mapped to world space. So let's go and separate those two channels and see what's going on. So I'm assuming this is like the... Oh, what is that? Are those the trees? I'm assuming that's the trees. That seems to be like the ambient occlusion, I would assume. That, yeah, that does seem to be correct. We can see that all of the planes there are shown, and then I'm assuming those are like the tree trunks. Yeah, that's AO. And then, yes, that's the shadow map. Okay. Interesting. So how do we apply that to the main parts? How do we do that? Because that is very interesting. Well, let's go and try that. So this is for the main grass right here. So let's go and copy that texture over to there. And then, yeah, let's just see what happens if we go and... Let's see. How would we map this properly? Do we use the generated bounds? Because that actually might be the The way. No, it is not the way. Let's see. This is going to be a little bit difficult. Let's go and get the geometry, and then we could use like a map range to try to map it accurately. So here, let's set the max be like there. Okay, let's try to figure out how to do this correctly. So I'm assuming like negative 100 to 100. Negative 100 to 100. No, that is incorrect, but we're getting there. Maybe if I could... Is it mapped to the bounds of the object? Because with the generated part right here, that should be correct. Because it should be, if we go and vector math multiply, so that we can isolate the red and the green, we should see... Oh no, it's not like that. Oh, I thought it would have just been mapped to the... min and max bounds, but it isn't. That's super weird. Oh no, it is. Except, oh no, the rotation's wrong. Okay. So that is correct. Okay. This is very fascinating. So I just need to either apply the rotation. Yeah, let's just apply the rotation to make this simpler for ourselves. And then generated, put that into there. And it's still not right. Maybe we need to multiply it. Because, yeah, what is that part right there? What part of a map is that? Oh, that's the interior part here, I would assume. Then why is it baked like that? We only have one UV map to base it on. Oh, what if... What if there are multiple UV maps on Mesh, but only one got exported? That would be a bit of a pain, wouldn't it? So let's go and do this ourselves so that we can just manually put the UV maps and the textures where they're supposed to go. So we'll do this as UV map 01, and then we're going to do a very simple project from view bounds, and then we'll just go and try to correct it manually. So we have the entire interior right here, so we can just try to scale it. And of course the proportions are not accurate. Oof. So let's just try again, eyeballing it, which isn't going to be great, but I just want to see how... Okay, that's good enough. Pretty close. And right over here, let's go and scale this to there. Scale it like that, scale like that. There we go. So let's do that. So that seems to be all right. Now let's see how that looks when we actually apply the shading effects. So right here we can see the perfectly aligned ambient occlusion and perfectly aligned shadows. Let's throw these into... Actually no, we can just scale these to apply it instead of a hue, saturation, and value. Though, I think that may be applicable in the future. So here we can see the AO being applied. So we have that, the AO, and then the shadows. Okay, but there's something else that we can do. Because the shadows are just way too dark, which I assume is just expected. So I'm going to use a 1- to invert the value, and then use a hue, saturation, and value node. Because I assume that's where the stylization comes into play. Like, AO is just AO, which probably isn't accurate, but oh well. And then here we can lower it to whatever we want, and then we can shift the values as well. Make it look a little bit, to make it look a little bit cooler. So that's how they bake to the lighting, and it actually looks really good. Look at that. And it's interesting that they rendered this at such a lower resolution, and it still works very, very well. Let's go and get this and try to find, well, let's go and select the other map right here, go into UV editing. Here, let's try to make it just a little better aligned by scaling it on the Y. And that seems to be okay. We can move it down by a little bit. Maybe scale it a little bit more. There we go. So yeah, that's not too bad. With the better alignment, we can see that that looks pretty good. Again, I'm assuming that these models had another UV map for the baking, but they just didn't get included. So, that's okay. Yeah, that is the lighting. And actually, we can see that there are supposed to be a few more trees here, but I'm assuming because they're assets, they did not get included in this. Interesting. Okay. Then we can see there's still a little bit of misalignment, but it still looks really good. Like, if we were to go into the shading tab... Oh, and wait, that's just emissive. That is without any specular lighting whatsoever, and it still looks so incredibly good. Because, again, it's baked. And then if we do that, that looks amazing. Wow. That looks amazing. Just off base. And then we can do the same for like the grass over to here and other stuff. But I think there's more to the setup. Let's go to that plane in the center here. See what other maps we have for the baking. So here we can see something really interesting. This seems to be another layer, which seems to possibly control like a hue shift or something like that. Maybe it's the indirect lighting. Actually, let's check the actual name. Bake, Okay, so it doesn't give us too much information in that regard. So are these different channels, or is that just like a hue difference? Is this just the like indirect lighting? I have a feeling it is. Like over here, we can see that. Oh yeah, that is 100. That really looks like indirect lighting. So let's try to plug that in and see what happens. So if we just use an add, here, let's take a look at this. It's going to be misaligned, but oh well. Actually, that is much more misaligned than the others. Oh, is it? Oh yeah, it is. Huh. So that one has a different scale as well. Interesting. Oh, you thought that was... Oh, you thought that was Mortal Kombat and not Mario Kart? I've never played a Mortal Kombat game, but... Yeah, let me edit the title. So... Mario Kart 8. There we go. To avoid confusion. But let's go and add to that. Well, this is becoming very messy already. So fun. Let's go and take a look at this. So is this just indirect lighting, or is it something else? Because I'm assuming that the blue is from the sky, and then like over here it's like the plants and the trees and stuff like that. I mean, that looks like indirect lighting to me. Actually, let's go and change this so that it's using the standard color management, so that we can see the raw colors to this. Yeah, it looks like indirect lighting. Like, even though it is misaligned compared to, like, the other bake map, that does look, yeah, like that's where a tree would be, and the tree has an orange trunk, so it would scatter that. But let's do another little check just to make sure we aren't missing any, like, obvious... from there. No, that does not look like separate passes. That looks like just different parts. And then with indirect lighting, you just add it on top of the original. Let's see. The name has G, B, and F. G equals glossiness, B equals bump, F for... I'm unsure about bump, because most games don't use bump maps, they use normal maps. And with the some of the other textures, if I'm understanding your question accurately. Like here we have the albedo, that's right there, and we don't need that one, because there is no alpha to deal with on this part. Wait, where did the normal go? Oh wait, did I have the normal in there? Here, let me get the grass normal. Let's see, where is the grass normal map? No, that's the dirt, that's the trunk, that's the rock, that's the seawater. Oh, that'll be interesting to see. Where is the grass normal? Here, let me search for it. NRM. Let's see, that's the seawater. Nope, that's a forest thing. Arrow. You can't see the files that I'm looking through, which I apologize, but there does not seem to be a grass normal. Here, let me do another little check just by searching the full name. Okay, there's a grass normal. Okay, let's bring that into there, and we haven't plugged that in yet. This is getting so messy already. Let's go and bring you up to here, and then we'll plug you into there. Make sure to set your normals to non-color or linear, and then let's go and use the normal map, color, and then just plug that into there. So with this all cooked, we should see, yep, that tiling is working beautifully. And why is that not functioning? Hello? Here, I'll just go and get a new principled node because the current one seems to have a little bit of trouble. There we go. So here, if we make this super glossy, we can see that the bump map is functioning as intended. And we can set that to whatever value we want. Now, I think there is a roughness part to this. Yes, there is. Oh, wait, no, that's grass 2. We just want grass 1. So here we should see, if we plug this into there. Oh, it's just black. Oh, wait, whoa, wait, why is the alpha channel? Wait, why is it in the alpha channel? That doesn't make sense. Because there's only one for specular, something else, and then I'm assuming metallic. Unless... Oh, wait a minute, I need to check something. On the Kart model, I was wondering if there were metallic parts to this, but I couldn't quite figure that out. So let's take a look at this. We can see that it's just gray. Ah, okay. There we can see that there is a difference. That data is stored in the alpha channel. But what data is being stored there? Is that the roughness? And then there are colors in there, which actually I don't know why that's occurring. Oh, wait. Do I know what's going on there? No, there's only a little difference and I'm quite confused. Wait, did they? Oh, that would be really funny. Did they pack in a little animation into the roughness here? Now, why would they do that? I don't know. Or maybe that's just a hue difference. Or maybe that warps the specular. I don't know. But yeah. Do I have the... No, that's the emission. Then there's that. That one's just... Okay, the alpha channel is just opaque for that one. That's weird. Let's go and plug you into there and see what happens. That's supposed to be inverted, so we need to do a 1 minus. I mean, that looks a bit more like it, but again, the actual shaders in Mario Kart 8 make it look amazing. It's actually, you know, let's take a look at the poly counts. Because the polygons, like, look how low poly this is. But in-game, it looks absolutely incredible. I wonder how this will compare to the Mario Kart 9 models. Have the tires and then all that. It's really interesting to see how they laid out all this. And especially like when they lay out parts of the UV map outside of the original range. Which I'm assuming they use that to like alter some part of the shader. Yeah, here we can see that that's the Got the alpha and all that. That's very interesting. Very, very cool. Let's go back to Electrodrome and see some other parts. So with these signs, with the Mario Kart TV and such, all of these use different images for each part of the animation, which are not packed into a flipbook, which I was a little surprised by, but they have custom engines, so I guess it could just handle tons of images being flipped through, while Blender does not really like that all too much. Blender and images and videos, they don't play too well in the shader editor. Then we have all that, and then the city is just like that. Everything that's not viewable is just cut out. We can see just how simple the outside range is, and you never notice it in-game. You never do. And right in here, there's probably going to be a couple of Koopas dancing and all that. That's where the screen is. It's just amazing how they've packed all this. And let's, oh my god. So I'm assuming by the way this works is that they just projected this with a tileable texture. They just hit, oh, project from, or yeah, Q map projection or light map pack, and then called it a day, which is funny. But if it works, it works. Oh, that's interesting, and that clips into there. Oh, because that's a holographic display, so it's not always visible. Where does... Oh. Did not notice that that kind of clipped. Where does that even go? Huh. Wait, what part of the track is that actually? So it goes down through there, over through... Oh, okay, yeah. Interesting. There seems to be a part that's like kind of missing right there. I didn't delete that, so maybe it just didn't come through on that import. Okay, but we can see that goes through there, or maybe. Actually, no, it doesn't exist. Okay, interesting. Goes right under there, over, then does that, and then flies over to there. I really wonder how they thought up of these courses, because that is a very complicated path. But it works out very well. Yeah. Then they both rejoin, and then right over to there. It's amazing. Mario Kart 8 is one of the best looking games out there. And it's like maybe 10 years old at this point. It came out when I was just a wee lad. So yeah, just looking through the old tech and seeing how they did all of this, it's very, very cool. That makes me wonder how they did the bakes. Because did they just set it up in engine and then bake it in engine? Or did they export all the objects as real meshes and then do the bake outside? I'm assuming they did that because that just makes sense. I don't think they did that in engine because that would probably be really, really... Actually, no, they would... Huh. They would have to do that in engine, right? To get like all the lighting data that they set up? Oops. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. Yeah, that's very cool. And then this just being indirect lighting, and this is very low resolution. Like I would say that that's maybe 512 by 512, maybe. I don't think it's 256. Actually, I could just check. Let me go and check the resolution of that map. The UR properties. Oh, it's only under 300 kilobytes. I think that's probably what they said. Oh, wait. That's 120 by 968. That's very interesting and very unexpected. For the other map, let's go and check that. That is... Wait a minute, that's a 4K map? That's whoa. Okay. Wait a minute. This one's 4K. That's unexpected. Huh. Probably because the compression is so high. That's a 4K. Whoa. let me make sure I didn't, like, click on the wrong one. Properties. Yeah, no, that's 4K, but it's 4068 by 4096. Huh. Let's see. You can actually check it in Blender. Just select the texture and press N and open image data. Let's see. You mean, oh, okay. Yeah, I forgot about, man, it's been ages since I've done that. Huh. Cartesian is about to be sued by Nintendo. I highly doubt it. I highly doubt it. I don't think they... I think there would be bigger fish to fry in this scenario than me. I got this through totally correct means. Oh, and then this, I'm assuming, is the, like, border trim sheet. But it doesn't seem like the UVs are accurate on this one. Let's go and take a look at that. Oh yeah, no, that is very wrong. That's not supposed to look like that at all. So yeah, there are multiple UV maps for all of these, but they just did not get exported correctly. So here, I'm assuming, let's tries to quads. That's what we want to do. And then I'm going to do a reset. And then, do I dare try a follow active quads? That's probably a bad idea. No. And then if we look at the, oh yeah, here we can see that it just feathers the edges right there, and that's fine. Let's go over to the shader editor and use the other UV map. So UV. There we go. So wait, what? It's not rotated correctly. So let's try to rotate it. 90. Just want to get so that looks like almost correct. Or maybe... this is going to be absolutely terrible. Oh wait, I wasn't selecting everything. Oh god. Yeah, so... yeah, no, I just messed that up. Oh well. But yeah. That's just supposed to add a little bit of trim to the edges so that it doesn't look like a harsh cutoff. Model for this is very simple, but it looks good. Yeah, that looks very good. Very simple, but very good. You don't need many polygons to make a good looking model. Just need good light. Actually, how does this look in cycles? Yeah, I haven't tried that yet. How does it look if the global illumination is actually global? Probably not great, but let's try it anyway. And also let me add in a sunlight, rotate it by a bit, get a lot brighter. Yeah, that looks terrible, but what do you expect with the wrong background map and so on? Okay. This, if I've understood this correctly, it seems like they just have a cube map for the background, and then they go off of baked lighting for the rest of the environment, rather than, like, no, but they have to use, like, individual cube maps along the way, like maybe, I don't know, every 100 meters or so, just so that the lighting is accurate for the racers passing by. It looks really good. Let's go and attach the other baked maps in there again. Let's set that to be 0.5. So again, since this is a baked map, we can control just how effective the shadows are and so on. Again, right there. But that's a 1, so that's it without anything besides, yeah, that's the ambient occlusion. Ambient occlusion, shadows. Do that, and that looks good. We can hue shift that if we need to. And that is the indirect lighting, or global illumination and indirect lighting. Basically, whatever gets added. So we could set that to 0 and then put that in, but that's just way too much. So let's set that to be 0.2. Interesting. Is that recreated, or do you have context at Nintendo? I have context at Nintendo, totally. Totally. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that is very interesting how they laid out the topology. So if I try to like turn back the clock and see how they made this, it seems like at the edges they just either extruded or just, yeah, it seems like they extruded out from the road or there, and then they joined it to, or no. Like over here, it seems like they just had another line over there. Oh, that's the fences, okay. They just like grid filled between the road and the fences here and there. And then over here, they added in like a loop or two, then had just a grid-based system for the rest of the environment, and then either decimated the hell out of all the other parts, or yeah. That's very interesting. Huh. And then we can see the fake bushes over here, which, let's see, those are not showing the back face, just because the settings are still a bit weird. Interesting that they layered both of those like that. And then that will change to alpha clip, even though it should probably be alpha blend, but I don't really care all too much about that. Yeah, very interesting. They did so much with so little. Over here we can see that the lighting, since this was packed, yeah, it's not matching on there and there, but that's okay. Dang. That is such a low poly model, but it works so well. But, oh, that is funny. The tires are like the whoa, what was I gonna say? Okay, the tires are the highest polygon part of it. Okay. Highest polygon, and I combine those two words into one. I seem to do that quite often. And then I'm assuming this has a normal map, which makes it look good. So yeah, let's actually take a look at that. So we have you, nope, that is, okay. The trailer and that are both one. That is very funny, very interesting. I'm assuming like if they share the same material, they are one object. I'm still not entirely sure if they're like, if that's the exporter doing it or if that's actually how the objects were laid out. I'm assuming it's a 50-50 shot for either. I'm assuming it's how they were laid out, but could be the exporter. Yeah, it's definitely the exporter. Yeah, no, there's no shot that they had both of those joined beforehand. And the normals, put that to be opaque. Something's up with this. Oh, it's facing away from the scene, so it just got deleted. Okay, no, that was just an optimization. Okay. Let's go back over to the truck over here. And let's go and turn on the specular so that we can actually see it. Here we can see, let's see. The normal is freaking out a little bit, and it is set to non-color data, so I'm assuming that's just like compression that's gone like really, really bad. Because it usually doesn't look like that. So the shading does seem to be almost correct. Oh well. Let's see. I've been working on a similar game to Mario Kart, and I've been wondering if you could find Blender files like that elsewhere. Where did you get this? I just did a Google search, and I found the models online. Not as blend files, but, you know, just like that. Quick Google search will get you into many, many places. But look how good the models look, with very simple textures. at that. Like, even the DLC courses for Mario Kart 8 don't look as good as this. I'm assuming because they had to make them a lot smaller, and because they probably came from Mario Kart Tour, which had to be even smaller for, like, phones and stuff like that. But here, I'm assuming... Let's take a look at this. Okay, all that's just packed into there. So for all of the buildings and such, it's just, wow, it's just that texture for that. That texture for that. That texture for that, and so on. Just, yeah, they got so far with just tileable textures, and it looks amazing. Even when it, you know, the normal maps aren't there, the lighting isn't there, it just looks good by default. They did so well with, like, it seems like the Wii U had the perfect balance between, like, power constraints and, like, texture usage. Because all the Wii U games that come from Nintendo looked amazing. Like, there was, what was that? Super Mario 3D World, I think it was? That one looked amazing. So much glossy materials. It was all shiny and all that. And it probably had, I don't know. Actually, that one probably had more to work with because it was a lot of tileable assets rather than a gigantic map like this. But I could be wrong. Which one, actually, yeah, which one would be more expensive? Maybe World, because it has a lot more NPCs that need to be seen up close. Not sure. Oh, I should get the models for that as well. I've always wanted to look through those. Do I do that? No, we'll save that for another stream. We'll save that for another stream. Yeah, so low poly, but still looks so good. I wish there was an easy way. Actually, can I set the specular on all these to be 0.5? If I click Alt. Nope, it only affects the one. Dang it. A little bit of Python could make it so that all these are set to, like, the specular is disabled just because, oh no, I wanted the specular, not that. Yeah. Because just the exporter seems to have just, or the importer has just decided to set it all to 0 instead of 0.5. Yeah, no, that's the importer, not the exporter. Because in this case, these are OBJs and DIE files. And for the Kart, that was an FBX, so that imported much better than everything else. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's what it looks like without the little border fading. How about that? How about that? And then just the field right here is just a square. Let's see. Oh, and they just took that part out there. That's funny. Because that means that the camera, even like the wide view camera, only sees over to here. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Wow. I love seeing optimizations like this. Okay, let's go and get a new map into here. So I'll be right back and import the OBJ. There we go. And which one? N64 Rainbow Road. Yep. Let's go and do that one. It's only 9.9 megabytes, not including textures, of course. Okay, so this is what it looks like. So that's just the ground. That's not the actual course, which I'd never really seen this in full, which is very interesting. So they have a layout of essentially Paris, which I really wonder how they did this. Did they just have a generator for all of the houses, or did they just place them manually? Could be either or. I would assume most likely they... Oh wow, look how low poly it is. But it still works. Even though, like, you barely see it. And then the reason this is so... Oh wait, this is the wrong one. Or is it? Wait, what the heck are you? Whoa, okay. Let's go into fly mode and try to find the... start. Oh no, that's the end. Okay. Doesn't seem like all of the model came in here. Yeah. Back to you and then do that. Okay. So those are the 3 finish lines. Just go around. Very interesting. There is one more that I wanted to check. Let's see. I'm just gonna go and get another one real quick. What was the other map? If you have any, like, not requests, but questions about the models, let me know. I do want to see... Ooh, Dolphin Shoals. I have wanted to check out that one. Okay, and then... What other one? Wanted to see the original, or... Mario Kart 8's main Rainbow Road. Then what was the other one? Okay. Let's see. 3D World. 1 second, everyone, while I go and try to find a few other models, and I do need to do some other things before they get all that in. I'll need to check that later. Let's not hold up the stream. Okay. There we go. Do the models include collision shapes separately from the street mesh? I'm assuming this is only the visual mesh. Like, I think the collision would most likely be accurate for the road, the railings, and pretty much only that. But I think the collisions are just separate for the most part. Only the road, though. How would they would need to split up the road to make it more efficient, I would assume. So yeah, it was probably split up into segments for the collisions, most likely. But yeah, let's take a look at the Rainbow Road mesh. Fairly high poly for what I expected. It's just a grid that goes around. Oh, that's probably so that the UV mapping doesn't, like, get super wacky with the twists and such. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's that. And the railings, let's take a look at this. Where are the... Oh, right. Upside down. I keep forgetting about that. Yeah, that seems to be pretty standard stuff right there. Even though I need to turn on show backface. There we go. Actually, no, the UV maps still seem to be a bit messed up. Because again... Oh, wait. Oh, wait. So that's the underside. That has some stuff going on. I'll change that to be... Okay. This is very interesting. And then we have that, which is the siding, which is emissive in-game, if I remember correctly. Okay. Then the UV maps for these are a bit off because those are, like, animated and such. Let's go over to here and actually make this emissive. So we'll do this and set that to be, like, 2. Yeah. So that's a little bit closer to how it would look in game. Well, it doesn't look anything close to how it does in game, but you know. I'm surprised, like, you usually barely see any of this when you're actually driving on the track. Yeah. But it is very cool to see how they did it. And the mushroom is just skewered on top of the Eiffel Tower. And then the nice lights here. That's very cool. Actually, let's check the UV maps for all this. We can see... Wow, okay. Yeah, no, that's, Wow. For some reason, I thought that the texture would be smaller, but since the meshes are so even sparser, they have to make it so that, like, these repeated sections are included. But yeah, dang, that's impressive. Again, they got so far. But this looks, I think that's probably a 512 by 512 texture, which goes for all of that. It seems like the meshes are the limit here. You, that's, wow, that is a very, very low texture. One's just a standard brick. Yep, very standard, very nice. What's the Eiffel Tower made out of? Oh, there's an M here. Oh, that's, oh, that's funny. Is that supposed to be a Mario M or just like the structure of the Eiffel Tower? I'm assuming a Mario M. That's cool. Then, yeah, so that's the entirety of that. Very nice on the metal there. Yeah, look at that. Okay, I'm going to go and in 1 second. Let's see. Let me be right back as I go and get the new Rainbow Road into here. And also Dolphin Shoals, because I want to check both of those out. 1 second while the files are prepared. Files be prepared. Okay, so that one was standard Rainbow Road, and let's get the Dolphin Shoals. We'll start out with the other Rainbow Road, just because it's a little bit better. Or probably more high detailed than the current one that we're taking a look at. Okay, let's go and get that in 3, 2, 1.5, 1 1/4. And boom, we have it. Toggle window full screen. There we go. So here, yeah, this is very interesting. We can see the world. I didn't even notice that there was an actual globe here. Okay. Wow, and the 3D effect is quite cool. Okay, let's show back face, and then on this part we're going to show back face as well. Okay. That is very interesting. How about that? It's so low poly, or there are so few pixels, but again, when you're actually playing it, you probably don't see any of it. And here we can see that it pulled the normal map for the diffuse. So that's always fun. Then here there's sparklies, which I'm not sure what part of the game that would be at. But let me just fix this part right here. Let's go to the shader, not sculpting. Come on. Yeah, for some reason it pulled the normal into there. Not sure why. Let's go and use the normal map. Switch that so that's the color, set it to be non-color, set the specular to be 0.5, because that's what it should be by default. Now let me go and find the actual texture for that. It's just called Rainbow Road. Ooh, and the baking looks very interesting. Oh, and they have a flipbook for, not a flipbook, but multiple images for the dancing NPCs in the background. Just a PNG. See, that's URR road. Let's search for a road. And that's the normal. Oh, that's normal without a capital at the beginning. Interesting. So that's road 00. And that's Albedo 3. Oh. Okay, there's a lot more going on with this road than I originally thought. Okay. Oh, there was much more going on than I originally thought. Oh, this is very interesting. So that's the main, but they also, this is the 001, so I'm assuming that's like, that's how the color works for this. So if we vector math multiply between these two, should see, yeah, that looks a bit closer, but there are other gradients as well that they either mix through or do like a hue saturation flip between all that. So this is much more in depth than originally thought. And why are you freaking out? Ah, that's why. And of course the principle is not working, so let's go and get the acceptable. BSDF. Get just a new one into there. There we go. That's a bit better. Nope. Come on. Wrong one. There we go. Turn the roughness down. So here, ooh, look at that normal map. That is putting in the work. Oh, that is nice. And let's go back to the filmic space, and yeah, that's looking quite good. And here we can see, wow, that is very interesting with how they laid that out. I wonder how they made it. Actually, it does look like it's just a squashed, it looks like it's just squashed, and that's how they did the edge ring here, because it's much skinnier here than there. That's really funny. I did not expect that. Yeah, that model. Wow. That is a very nice model. And it's probably going to be like 3 repeating textures, and that's... Oh, wait, no. It is still very simple, but... They still have stuff going on here. Okay. They have some special stuff going on with all this. Then 2 of those are just off to the side. I wonder what that was for. But yeah, how about that? Seeing how the masters do their craft. Oh, and these are solar panels. I never recognized that. Take a look at this, and oh yeah, that has a bit more going on. Hey, it's Roz. How about that? Oh, and we can see like the artist just going like, oh, let's add in some wear and tear, and they call it a day. That is fascinating. Yeah, look at that. I love that, yeah. So it seems like these were baked in post. Like they had the textures and then they baked them. But no, there's overlapping parts. So, yeah. Looks like most of that was mirrored. But some of them, like this, it looks like it was a trim sheet that was just baked lower. For all of, like, these and such. Yeah, right there. That's very interesting. And then... Oh, that's included with that. Okay. Then here we can see the crowds. These would just be animated, but they're just like little figures doing their job. Let's set both of these to be opaque so that we don't have to... No, alpha clip for that one. And there's the crowds. They're just animated and they're going around having a grand old time. Yeah, look at that. Over there, we got some sci-fi looking panels using all the hard surface tricks. Like they got the corner bevel, they got the kind of cross in the middle, and then just random rivets. You'll love to see it. There, looks like that. Oh, and what's this? Rainbow Exploration Agency. Okay. I didn't know that it was an actual agency there. That is very fascinating. Then over here, this is just another part of the emissive rainbow road that didn't quite get in properly. Or is that the underside? No, it's just a separate material. Okay. Oh, and you ride on... Do you ride on both sides or just one? No, only on the top side. So what's the deal with the underside? I don't know. What's the average poly count for Mario Kart track? I don't know. Let's look at these, the stats. So it seems to be 100,000 vertices and almost 100,000 faces. So let's take a look at the other ones. Statistics. Okay. So it seems to be around 100,000. Oh, whoa. This one has significantly more. I'm assuming because of all the bushes scattered around. I'm also assuming that these bushes are just objects that got brought in from the import. So if we were to ignore all of these, because they were probably joined with all that, or there's a chance that they are just, I'm assuming these ones are just part of the mesh. If we ignore those, yeah, it's closer to 100,000. Yeah, these ones probably are just objects in the scene. Probably. And then Electrodrome, I'm assuming, is... oh, over 100,000. So it does vary quite a bit. It varies quite a bit. Actually, how is this one more expensive? I guess there's more detail closer. So it's all packed closer to what the user can see, so it has to be higher fidelity. While with Rainbow Road, it's mostly just space. Like, you're mainly just seeing the earth and the background, and that's it. Yeah. Probably has culling in the game for bigger tracks. Maybe. Maybe. Well, whatever you can't see. Out of sight, out of mind, as they say. Yeah, that's very cool. It's the special cup, right? That is very cool. So since we're almost at an hour, I think we'll call the stream here. But this is a very interesting look into professionally made AAA models with a performance budget. They couldn't just go and say, oh, it has a bajillion polygons. It still has to be relatively low poly, but it still looks so good. And it looks even better in the actual game with all the lighting and shading. Yeah, you can go so far with such, like, look at this. So low poly, but it goes so far. Like, in game, I would never guess that this was so low fidelity. Look at that. That is fascinating. Alright, oh, and the little satellites right here. I'm assuming these are animated, so they're not just, yeah, I'm assuming when all these models were exported, everything got joined by material, rather than like their actual objects, because these have to move, most likely. They're probably not static. Let's see. Let's see. Hi Ben, I'm just in time for the wrap-up. Yes. This stream will be available until, like, I don't know, until it gets, like, copyright striked or something like that. So you'll be able to watch it from the beginning. I'm just looking through a few interesting models that I found online. Oh yeah, in this part, look at that. Though, the conveyor belt is missing. This part. Wow, look at all that detail. So much detail, and there's... wait, let's look at the texture for this. Wow. Yeah. Just that, and they get so far with just those few textures. Wow, 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 wow. And then all of the gobbledygook over here, the wires and stuff. And so far with just... the textures aren't even that complicated. They're just very well done. And all these parts. Oh, that's interesting. This one has a lot more free space around. That's very, very interesting. On here we can see some scratches. And that is, for the lead up to there. Okay. Have you seen Track Studio for Mario Kart? It's how a lot of people mod in custom tracks for Mario Kart 8. No, but that would be very interesting to see. Oh, wow. The highest polygon, like, circle in this is right here. Which, yeah, that makes sense because all the racers come right by there. But it's interesting that that's higher density than that part as well. I know, that is fascinating. Then these parts are just, like, so low poly, but again, they get so far with so little. Then here we can see... some texture warping does happen there. Because Blender still has a few issues with, like, texture warping with all that. Which, I assume Nintendo just has a better way of handling it. Yeah. And then there's all that. Yeah, that is very, very cool. Actually, this looks somewhat similar to, a certain space station from a certain film that came out recently. Yeah, that just reminded me of that. Okay, so that'll be all for from me for today. This was very interesting. Yeah. So, thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Have a good one.